So, well, first of all, I'm really thankful to the Skeptic Society to bringing this perhaps the most engaging conversation on Caltech campus since I've been here. I just wish and request Deepak that if he could return every year so that we can all come and laugh together on laugh together. I didn't say laugh on Deepak. So there were two things. One was that Deepak mentioned that been there, done that when people brought up religion and the bad things which happened, like not progress in women, education, and atrocities, etc. So could Deepak and Jean say now that the religion of past, or the things, the whole organization of God of the past, it was on a bigger picture, perhaps bad or negative? And secondly, they mentioned that we want to bring all the people from art and music there all together on the same platform so that we can all talk and learn about the unknown. I was just thinking, Deepak keeps bringing quantum mechanics, etc. If you want to do a quantum mechanics experiment, you need, high vacuum, really small structures, and very well-precise conditions. I don't know how a man sitting in a cave in Himalayas, he could possibly come up with that kind of a result or that observation and contribute to that discussion.
Deepak, what would you answer? His question basically is, was all religion, if it's been there, done that, was all religion in the past bad?
I think the religious experience was an extremely beautiful, lovely experience. It's the kind of experience that is the aha moment, even in science. It's transcendence, it's inspiration. But yes, then it got organized and we went to war. So I would say that organized religion has done a lot of damage. But on the other hand, organized religion has also done a lot of humanitarian work. And if you go across the world, you'll see that there are extremely religious people who have so-called religious beliefs that we would call cultural mythology, but they're doing extraordinary good work.
Is our existence an accident?
No. If it were truly just randomness and accident and chance, we wouldn't be here, for sure. There are self-organizing emergent properties within the cosmos, and evolution is one of them. So the random mixing up of genes, yeah, that's kind of accidental, but that isn't what evolution is. Evolution is in the selective process and cumulative selection of successful structures that leads to complex organisms. So there is something deeper. Again, we don't have to use fuzzy language to understand it. It's still part of science to say it's self-organized and emergent and have a very clear understanding of what that means.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good question. What's your name?
My name is Cassie Yan, and organized religion is a reality of today. So my question is, what will happen to organized religion in the future?
Well, I don't think religion is going to go away anytime soon, but I do like to take a long time horizon. And that as we continue to expand the circle of sentiments and expand things like liberal democracies and market trade between peoples where, say, the internet, anybody can talk to anybody else anytime for free, they can exchange things without centralized control interfering, that's a good thing. And to the extent that religions get out of the way and let us do that, I think they may just fall into disuse. I was discouraged by the China Google thing. I thought the Google guys would get around that, but it may take a little bit longer than I thought.
Jean, what do you think is the future of organized religion?
Well, I think that most organizations are falling apart. We're in the biggest time of deconstruction that the world has ever seen. And I think it's going to go through a kind of morphing into a new way of being and doing. I would hope that there would be an undercurrent of an appreciation of a perennial and universal spirituality out of which these different ways and frames of seeing would then find richer and deeper ways of relating to the meaning of it all. And I think that when it is no longer the man on the cross or the man under the tree, or the man for that matter, who is the vehicle through which the enlightenment and the epiphany occurs. But I would love to see a great generalization of spiritual experience happening across the board. And as people move into the greatness of this experience, I think that the nature of religion itself will change. I'm looking for a democratization of spiritual experience.
Thank you, Jean. What's your name?
David Richardson, and My question is a bit of a follow-on to the last one, but is primarily directed towards Sam. Sam, from the perspective of a neuroscientist, and knowing what we know today about the hardwiring as well as the other structures in the brain, the neurochemistry, as to our inherent bias toward wanting a causal explanation for what we see and experience around us, whether God actually exists or not in any of the organized or unorganized discussions that we've had with God, don't you feel that a belief in God is, from a neurochemical or structural basis, inevitable?
Well, apparently not. I've got a sample of at least one that I'm pretty sure about.
You want to go back on him, Adam, on that? Or?
Yes, I'd say secondarily, based on our need for tribes and society, don't you feel that, again, the belief that there is no God is going to, from our own structured creation, not discussing what the cause of that creation was, but don't you feel that we're just biased in such a way that in society we will always have the belief in God as the major belief, and the belief that there is no God as a minor and presently not very vocal understanding?
Yeah, it's an interestingly provincial point of view. That we're in America, which is almost functionally a theocracy. But in Western Europe, your question actually wouldn't make sense right now. I mean, it is a massively secular part of the world, and if you go to Scandinavia, it flips entirely. It's something like a majority, 60 to, depending on how you ask the question, 60 to 80% of people in Denmark, for instance, are atheists. I mean, they do not believe, they treat the God of Abraham the way we treat Zeus. And that is, just refresh the browser in your brain and realize that those are actually equivalent. And we are in a shocking circumstance where most people in our society are really worried about Zeus. And you pick up the New York Times tomorrow, and I guarantee you that the international section of the paper will more or less read like, what are the crazy Muslims doing today? And if you realize that what they're doing is on the basis of a belief that is just like a belief in the gods of Mount Olympus. I mean, imagine if you drawing cartoons of Hercules could get you killed.
I heard Deepak mention that there are deeper ways of knowing, and I get the impression that this is based on intuition and the subjective. And I'd like to know, if we don't use the objective scientific method, how do we distinguish what is true from what we simply want to be true?
What's your name?
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Deepak, have at it.
I think science is based on a subject-object split. I'm the observer, and that's the observed. And it does extremely well based on the subject-object split. I am hoping that the truth will be found when we actually develop a science of consciousness that goes beyond the subject-object split, because after all, nature is one. Nature does not decide that this is the subject and that's the object. Nature says that both the subject and the object are my activity. So my prayer is that science will evolve to include consciousness in its evolution.